What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Mythos, and I'm bringing you guys an insane 5 meta class weapons that I think are the best weapons and class setups that you guys can use in Black Ops 6 Season 1. You want to use these weapons now because I'm sure that they're going to nerf in some way, shape, or form in Season 2. Especially with all, the buffs that they've done to visual recoil. They're going to start nerfing a lot of these strong weapons in like a few weeks once these people come back from holiday. Let's start out with number one. So the number one is the XM4. XM4 is a jack of all trades. You can use this in long ranges, you can use this in small maps, you can use this anywhere in between. It's a pretty easy, consistent weapon to use. But for the first attachment, I like to use just 5 attachments on my weapon. With Gunfighter, you can add 8. Honestly, add recoil based attachments. If that was me, that's what I would pick. But usually I like to use perk greed just so I can have the extra perk. I feel like perks are more valuable to me than attachments. But anyways, I like to use the Kepler Microflex, which is a simple red dot sight. For the muzzle suppressor, I'm huge on being stealthy, playing stealthy. I like being off the radar, but if you need help with that recoil control, you definitely want to use a compensator. Let's actually throw that compensator on. And then for the barrel, I don't really typically use a barrel for the M4. I feel like it's very good without it. For the underbarrel though, I like to use a vertical foregrip. This gun has a little bit of horizontal recoil, so you can help mitigate that with the vertical foregrip. And then the magazine, since the base mag is 30 bullets, you want to use extended mag 1, which is going to give you 45. I do not recommend 2. 60 can slow you down a lot too much. 3, use this for Warzone, bro. Use the titties for Warzone. Alright, but you're going to want to use 1. And then lastly, for the 5th attachment, you're going to want to use quick draw grip just so you can be snappy on your enemies. You can use that, or you can substitute that and also use the Strutlock laser, which is going to be hip fire to ADS. Pretty much you're going to be able to ADS and aim as if you're ADS and before you're ADS, if that makes sense. But I'll slap that on. And if you guys want, you guys can also eliminate the 45 round mag and use also another recoil based attachment like the recoil springs, which should definitely help out. But let's see how this gun is in the range. It's pretty smooth. Like you can see, there's like no recoil with this. Outgun that. This thing does not move, bro. Especially with the buffs that they did to the visual recoil. Like, easy to use. The Krig is another fantastic assault rifle to use. It might actually even be better than the XM4. But for the optic, just because the iron sights aren't the best one, you're going to use a red dot of your choice. Just to switch it up, we're going to use the Merlin Mini. For the muzzle, you want to stay off the radar. This gun has really good recoil control, so I don't think the compensator is really necessary. But let's slap on that suppressor. And then for the underbarrel, you're going to want to use a vertical foregrip just to eliminate any remaining horizontal recoil, so that's going to pretty much delete it, so we can just move straight up and down. And then for the magazine, you're going to want to use extended mag 1 just to give you from that 30 to a 45 mag size, which is going to be essential for multiplayer. And then for the rear grip, you're going to want to use quick draw. It's a very similar build to the XM4. I feel like the quick draw is really necessary because if you don't, the ADS for some reason is a little slower, but if you don't mind it, the balanced stock is a great option as a secondary. And let's see how it is in the firing range. Let's see if it beams. Beam. Damn, I forgot to plug in my Cronus right there. But honestly, it's not a bad gun. Like, I'm just beaming. Let's see the strafing with it. Movement. It feels pretty good. I mean, I feel like it has a little bit faster TTK compared to the XM4, but it's a little slower to ADS to snap on your enemies. The SOG is arguably one of the best SMGs. For this class setup, you do not need an optic. The iron sights are super clean. I like it when they're very skinny, the rear sights and the far sights. It just makes it easy to use. But for the muzzle, you can use a suppressor or the compensator. Personally, for this weapon, I do like to use a compensator for this. For the barrel, since it is an SMG, you're going to want to use a long barrel just to increase that damage range further, just in case you have a middle to long range gunfight. And then for the underbarrel, you're going to want to use the Ranger foregrip to help eliminate that horizontal recoil, but this is also going to help with that sprinting movement speed you want out of an SMG. And then for the magazine, you're going to want to use extended mag 1. It bumps it up from 36 to 45, so it's not necessary, but it's nice to have. And then finally, for the stock, you're going to want to use the balanced stock, which is going to increase that strafing movement speed, hip fire movement speed as a whole, and aim walking movement speed. And this, let me show you guys in the firing range. This thing is like a beamer, bro. Boom, boom. The mobility just feels so good. You can just snap on your enemies. Boom, Boom. Like honestly, this is like my favorite SMG just because of the fire rate. For the best small PP919 class setup, honestly this is my other favorite SMG option. For the muzzle suppressor, you won't need a compensator or muzzle brake ported compensator. It has pretty much no recoil with this class setup, so slap on that suppressor. For the barrel, you're going to want to add the long barrel to increase the damage range. I'm telling you, this can outgun some of the ARs in this game as well. Magazine, it already has a base 64, so you do not need a larger or smaller magazine. But for the rear grip, you're going to want to add the ergonomic grip. This is going to increase that slide to fire speed, dive to fire speed, and ADS speed. So when you're having crazy omni movement, you're going to be able to snap on your enemies really good. And then for the stock, you're going to want to add the no stock just to really increase that strafing movement speed, hip fire movement speed, and you're going to be running and gunning like crazy. And finally, for the laser, you're gonna want to use a Strelok laser, which is gonna increase that hip fire to ADS accuracy. You're pretty much gonna have the accuracy of ADS as you're transitioning from hip fire to ADS, if that makes sense. But let's take this to the fire range, and you can see I'm shooting and it's already accurate enough. Like you see, you can already tell it's hitting it. But no recoil with this build. Movement is like super fast. You can see how fast I'm moving back and forth. Delete this guy. It's just an overall fantastic build. Is the Model L. This reminds me of the MCW from Modern Warfare 3. Just a very consistent weapon. You're going to want to use an optic because the iron sights aren't the greatest, so choose the optic of your choice. Let's put on the Merlin Mini. For the muzzle, you're going to want to use a suppressor. You're not going to need a compensator because it has great recoil control, but suppressor really is helpful. And then for the barrel, you're not going to need a barrel, trust me on that. For the underbarrel, you're going to want to use a range of foregrip just because for that little bit of horizontal recoil, this is going to help delete that, and it also improves mobility with that sprinting movement speed. And then the magazine, you're going to want to use extended mag 1, which is going to increase it from 30 to 40 rounds, which is going to be huge. And finally, for the stock, you're going to want to use a balanced stock just to increase that strafing movement speed, hip fire movement speed, aim walking movement speed, and movement speed in general. You could replace the extended mag if you want with recoil springs if you need a little bit more recoil control. You could, or you can add the Strelok laser. These are all great options as well. You can even add rear grip. So if you're using gunfighter, I would add any. You're not going to go wrong with any of this attachments. But let's see how it is in the range. Delete. Like you can see, it's not even moving, bro. Delete. Like it's just a very consistent weapon. I have no idea why people aren't using this more. For the perks that I'm using in pretty much all of my multiplayer loadouts, Grekova as a secondary, the knife, stim shot so I can heal up really fast if I'm weak. Blast traps are essential just because I can hold down power positions and cover my bases. If you don't want to run the blast trap, I do recommend the Semtex. If you don't want to run the stim shots, you can either be annoying and use a concussion, or you can use chalk charge. Everything else is kind of ass, to be honest. Flashbang is decent as well. Assault packs, if you want to be extra annoying and get more kills, you can use spring mine. Trophy is always very beneficial for those maps that holding down power positions or flags like domination or hard point. Oh, I thought it's a signal lube. What the hell? But anyways, for perk 1, I like to use Ghost. You can also run Ninja. Both of these are great. Forward intel, it just spreads out that minimap even more, and it shows you which area they're facing when they're on UAV or when they're shooting. So this gives you like a mini advanced UAV, and I have no idea why people aren't running this combo more. And finally, I run Vigilance just so I'm immune to see UAVs and scramblers, so they can call them bitches in and I'm still seeing where you're at. So that's why I have it. And then all of this is going to give me the specialty of Recon, which is going to give me that mini wall hack. Honestly, I don't even care about that. I care more about the Hyler. It gives me notification on my screen when somebody's aiming or looking at around my direction, and that gives me a cue to stim up and run so I don't get killed off my nuke streak. And then my wild card, I pretty much always run perk greed. I think perks are valuable as hell in this game, so I like to use scavenger so I can keep restocking ammo and equipment once I go over their bodies. But you cannot go wrong with any of these. You can even run ninja if you want, shadow if you don't want to die from enemy traps and mines. Those are all great options.